It's going to be hard for me to effectively explain how I felt about the Sony press conference after it wrapped up because it was surprisingly dull by Sony standards. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't bad, and there were some cool announcements, that's for sure, but on the whole, it was surprisingly mediocre. Sony typically have really good press conferences and have beaten the other two companies for the last 5 years, at least in my opinion. But this one really came out of left field, and not in a good way. Before you dislike the video just because I'm talking negatively about Sony, just hear me out. Like we did with Microsoft, let's start with what Sony did wrong, and this mostly occurred during the middle of the show. I don't give a fuck what console you prefer. You cannot dispute that they spent far too much time talking about stuff not related to games, and when you see fucking Microsoft, of all people, talking more about games than Sony, you know something's wrong. They talked about PlayStation TV, some PlayStation exclusive show, which may be cool, and some other stupid bullshit that nobody really cared about at this particular show for damn near 15 minutes. I wanted to see the Ratchet & Clank movie, but not on the stage. E3 is for games, not movies or TV shows. On top of that, there weren't really any wow moments or big surprises in this conference either, which Sony typically has had some surprises, at least at one of their... There weren't really any wow moments or big surprises in this conference either, which is really surprising since Sony typically has at least one big wow moment each conference. Aside from Little Big Planet 3, which was pretty damn cool, I wasn't surprised by a single fucking thing. We didn't get a Crash Bandicoot reboot, we didn't get any Atlas games, and worst of all, where in fuck was The Last Guardian? That game has been in development for so long, and there are literally millions of gamers who are still excited to see that game, so show it to us. You say it's still in development, prove it. While a lot of the games that Sony did show impressed me, I was shocked by how shit the demo for the Order 1886 was. That was an awful demo. I'm sorry, but at least to me, I thought that was pretty damn bad. It was dark as fuck and you couldn't see anything. Nothing happened that was interesting, and the gameplay wasn't really unique whatsoever. I'm still gonna give that game a chance because I like its themes and aesthetic, but it was really disappointing for a demo. Just like Microsoft, Sony too heavily relied on third-party games and didn't announce enough exclusives, and no, The Last of Us on PS4 doesn't cut it. Don't get me wrong, the games that they showed from third parties were awesome. Far Cry 4 looked great, Mortal Kombat X will be solid, and Batman Arkham Knight, what can I say? That's not the point though. Like I said before, you can't rely on third-party titles when PC is growing so much. You need the exclusives to sell your system, and we know Sony has lots of exclusive developers that are very talented, so where were their games? The last main issue that pissed me off was the reveal of Uncharted 4. Uncharted is one of my favorite video game franchises, period. Naughty Dog are one of the most talented studios out there, and I know Uncharted 4 will be spectacular when it launches next year, but the trailer was not good enough. The graphics were absolutely phenomenal, the voice acting was great, but where was the fucking gameplay? That was a teaser trailer. Plain and simple. It didn't reveal anything worth note that we hadn't already figured out previously. I'm not asking for 10 minutes of gameplay this early, but there should have been at least something besides what we got. However, Sony did do some good things. They once again proved that the PS4 is the best place for indie games on consoles, with a good amount of indie games getting the stage time they deserved. No Man's Sky looked incredible, Entwine was beautiful, and I'm sure more stuff is to come later down the line. Sony also did a good job proving that PlayStation Plus is excellent value, especially over Xbox Live Gold, and they did a good job securing betas for the PS4, including Battlefield Hardline and Destiny, though there are still betas on other platforms for those games. Like I said before, Little Big Planet 3 looked great and actually makes the holiday lineup for the PS4 better, which is what I wanted them to do. From Software's Bloodborne looked awesome, and most of the exclusives they showed were better than what we saw at the Microsoft conference, full stop. While Microsoft showed more games, Sony showed better games in my opinion. Like I said, the Sony conference wasn't bad, it was just so surprising to see such a mediocre conference from a company that has had consistently good E3 shows for the better part of 5 years. Their conference wrapped up what was a disappointing day and a bad kickoff to E3 this year. Sony may have just edged ahead of Microsoft by the smallest margin, but neither company brought their A game today. Now it's up to Nintendo to salvage E3, but whether or not they'll be able to do that is still a mystery. I really hope so though.